In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the rear brake calipers on this Volkswagen Jetta. Let's get into it. We're going to remove the wheel, use a 17mm socket, take the lug bolts out. And when I take the last one off, I'm just going to hold the wheel on so it doesn't fall. And grab the wheel and slide it off. We're going to take this cable off, use a 13mm socket. Just rotate this just like that. You can just pry this to the side. You can use a pry bar or even a screwdriver. Just pop that off. Just like that. And this cable will pull right out. Just slides out just like that. We're going to loosen the banjo bolt. Just use a 13mm socket. Just break it free. And then I'm just going to snug it up just a little bit just so the fluid doesn't leak out. That'll make it easier afterwards when we go to take the brake hose off. Now we're going to take the brake caliper bolts out, use a 13mm socket. You can use a pair of pliers to prevent the pins from spinning. Take those out. And take the brake caliper off. Take a brake caliper hanger, and I'm just going to hang it from the coil spring. Just like that. Just make sure there's no tension on this brake hose right here. We can take the brake pads off. Slide those off. Now I'm going to take the caliper brackets out. I'm going to use an 8mm hex socket. Take those two bolts out. I just moved the caliper over the top of the rotor. Loosen those up, take those out. And slide the bracket off. We're going to take the bracket off the caliper. I'm just going to use some pliers to hold the pins. Pull the bolts out. Use a 13mm socket. And same with this bolt. Now the caliper is separated from the bracket. On the bracket, I'm just going to put a thin coat of silicone grease or silicone paste just on those ears right there. You can take the anti-rattle clips or the pad clips, line those up, just push those on. And that's good. You can check the pins, just make sure there's grease in them. Just pop these off. I'll just add a little more grease, just using the same silicone paste, but there should be grease in these. Do the same on this one. I'll just add a little more. And just make sure that seals up properly. And now we can install this on the car. Slide the bracket over the rotor. Take the bolts, get the bolts started. Tighten the bolts down. And torque the bolts to 48 foot-pounds. Now slide the brake pads on, just like that. And slide the new caliper over the brake pads. Take the bolts, get those started. Oops. Now we'll tighten these down. Torque these to 26 foot-pounds. I'll just take the new banjo bolt out and the seals. I'm going to put one seal on the bolt like that, and then the other one, once we go through the hose, is going to go on the bottom side. Take the old caliper, we can take the hanger off. Now with the drain bucket underneath, we're going to take this bolt out. You're going to have some brake fluid. I'm going to take this seal off. Sometimes you have to use some pliers and just hold the bottom seal. Just unbolt the bolt. You want to make sure the master cylinder has plenty of fluid in it as well, so you don't drain it all out. So check that before you do this. I'm just going to cut this one off, just with some side cutters. Take that seal off. Take that bolt out. Make sure this is clean. Looks good. It's going to go right there. Put that washer on, or seal at the top. Go through. And then you got a seal at the bottom. Get this lined up. Get that bolt started in the caliper, the banjo bolt. We're going to torque this bolt to 28 foot-pounds. Now you want to slowly pump the brake pedal. There's going to be an air gap between the brake pads and the caliper piston. Just pump the pedal till it feels good. About 5 times. Afterwards, you want to make sure the brake fluid in the master cylinder reservoir is full. You can check on the side, there's a full line, and top it off, adjust accordingly. Now reinstall the tire, line that up. the lug bolts, get those all started. Now I'm going to torque the lug nuts to 89 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. And just go around again, double check.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.